TV18 special as we count down to the crucial winter session of Parliament. I'm Shereen, Bhan, and we're in conversation with Sitaram Yechury, the leader of the left. Mr. Yechury, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV18. Before I get to talk to you about politics, let me ask you about the big issue that investors, the markets, India Inc. Are sort of waiting to get clarity on, and that is the issue as far as the goods and services tax is concerned. Do you believe that we're likely to see the GST bill go through in this session of Parliament?
Well, I think the only set of people who can answer this is the government itself. No, you please remember, GST has a long history, and it has been almost a decade since we've been talking about this whole thing. And the finance minister of the left-front government in West Bengal was the chair of the Empowered State Finance Minister. They made the recommendations. It came to the center. Since then, it has been lying here. The crucial issue is, which I have raised in the House itself, in the Parliament, and to which there is no answer so far. The crucial issue is there are doubts, we also share those doubts, saying that the last vestige of any right that the state governments will have to raise resources through taxation proposals, that will be taken away with the GST. Now, we were the chair of the Empowered Committee. And to charge us, say, we have this, there is this apprehension on the federal account that needs to be assuaged. Now, how will you do it? There are ways in which you can do it.
Guaranteed compensation and so on and so forth, which is part of the constitutional amendment bill.
Who will take the initiative to bell the cat? The government of the day, no?
So you're saying the government hasn't done enough to actually get the opposition on board as well as the state governments on board?
Absolutely.
Because the state governments don't seem to share that point of view.
Not at all. But the point is that why is such a big hoo-ha raised over this issue? If the government is sincere, and let me repeat, sincere.
So you're saying the government hasn't done enough to pass the GST bill through? It's not the opposition.
The onus lies with them.
GST, the likelihood of it going through in this session is a little higher, one would say today, but then who knows in politics. But let me ask you about the other controversy, and that is to do with land. And the government has finally given up its battle as far as the land acquisition bill is concerned, and now taken the somewhat convenient route to say that the 2013 law has the flexibility to allow the state governments to do as they like as far as the land bill is concerned. What do you see as being the fate of the land acquisition bill? We have a parliamentary party meeting today, in fact, to discuss this issue as well.
Well, you see, let us see what the government proposes. But the point at issue is the 2013 bill cannot be bypassed so easily to allow the states complete freedom and flexibility. There are certain provisions in the 2013 legislation which are mandatory to be, and they need to be followed anywhere in the country. So it's not as though you ignore 2013 and you go ahead and do what you want to do, like Andhra Pradesh government has now done for the new capital.
Land pooling,
No, that is also, we think, a violation of 2013. So this will definitely come up in the Parliament. Now, and therefore what the government is trying to very cleverly do, and I think very cynically do, is to pit the center versus the states. States will say that no, in our interest we need to do this. The central law comes in the way, and then say as a fait accompli, you see there's a conflict of interest, so we need to revisit the 2013 law. Now, that is what, be upfront in what you want to do.
But let me ask you this, in the context of what has just happened in Bihar, and you invoke the spirit of the Ramayana saying that this was Dushasan politics on the part of the BJP and the NDA, and you also accuse the RJD, JDU combined of what you call Sinhasan politics. So are you happy that Sinhasan politics has won? Because at least it's a better alternative in your mind to Dushasan politics?
No, I'm happy that the Dushasan politics has been defeated. To that extent, I'm happy. But whether this, the Sinhasan politics will really do good for the people, that we said, we hope that they do, because the agenda we had placed in Bihar, what will be the electoral result? I mean, that's only natural. You know as much as I know, everybody knows. In situations of polarization, sharp polarization, no third force will survive. They all get squeezed out. That's what happened in Bihar. But the agenda we set, no government will be able to bypass that. And I'm sure Nitish Kumar government cannot and will not bypass it. If they bypass it, the red flag is always there. No, we'll continue the struggle and mobilize the people.
But since you're talking about the red flag being there, and I ask you this in all seriousness, Mr. Yechury, what is the relevance at this point in time of the red flag, even as far as West Bengal is concerned? And that is the big contention of the BJP, that even in West Bengal, you're probably going to be down to the number 3 position. So what is the relevance of the red flag that you talk about today?
Number 1, it is not going to be number 3 in West Bengal. Number 2, the red flag is the only flag that is of relevance for the people of Bengal in order to defend what they gained.
Why would we then see the electoral result that we saw?
You have a proper election. You allow a free and fair election, you will see the result. And mind you, let me tell you, even when you don't allow it, it has happened in North Bengal, in Siliguri, even recently, in the local body elections. It will happen all over Bengal. There will be people's resistance. And then you'll see the change that will come about.
You feel confident of 2016?
Of course, I feel confident, and I'm telling only the BJP is giving us unsolicited advice to tell them just look into your own house. Not a single election since the 2014 general election has the BJP been able to even retain the support they received in the 2014 election.
But they could turn around and say the same thing to you as well. So over the past decade, you've been reduced to 9 seats now in the Lok Sabha from 43 seats. You've given up your bastion of West Bengal after 34 years. They would say the same thing to you. You accuse them of arrogance and being obdurate. You're being accused of ideological rigidity as well.
The point is accusations of that nature, whatever that comes, that's different. That's virtually like, college, tit for tat, no politics. That's not the. Look at it substantially. As an economist, you will also know. You have a reference point. You have a base year from which you calculate. A 2014 base year, if you take, from there, you see the BJP vote share declining. You see our vote share increasing. That's it.
So beyond the electoral process itself, and let me ask you this in the larger context of what you intend to do as far as the revival of the left party itself is concerned. You will be having your plenum in December, at the end of December. You're being seen at 62 as the affable, younger face of the left party. What kind of pressure does that put on you, Sitaram Yechury?
Tremendous pressure. I'm not young in that sense, by the strict sense.
But by the left standards, you are.
By any standards. Why only left standards? Look at anybody in any political party. But the point is, as I've always maintained, it's not really the physical age as much as your mental, association with whom do you stand. No, the point is, are you able to think like the youngsters are thinking? Today, I think the left stands a very good chance of revival in our country, precisely because the 2/3 of our country's population, which is youth, they have aspirations, rightly so. Remember,
but you don't agree with any of those policies, sir. You don't agree with any. You don't believe in FDI. You don't believe in markets. You don't believe in the capitalist approach as far as.
Why? Yeah, but that's not what created that youth who's there today. It is your state education system. It is your IITs and IIMs, which are all state, basically state funded. Who are they? That system created the
But to be able to fund the IITs and IIMs, to be able to fund, health, education and so on and so forth, the state has to raise revenues, sir.
That is, exactly, precisely. The state has to earn revenues. Nobody is denying that. And I'm saying there's no shortage of resources in our country. Look at it. For heaven's sake, let's not take positions, but look at it unbiasedly. Every year, you are served with a bunch of data when the budget is presented. And a statement on tax foregone.
Yes.
How much is it? You know as much as I know.
But now that figure is going to look very different starting this budget, because the government is moving away from those exemptions, bringing down the corporate tax rate to 25%.
Let us see. The only way these figures will look differently is when the government stops giving you these figures And I suspect that is what is going to happen.
But let me ask you about your position as far as economic policies are concerned, because you have accused this government of following neoliberal economic policies which you believe will hurt India in the long run. The previous government attempted a different kind of policy which was more sort of giving out guaranteed rights to people without thinking about where the revenues are actually going to come from. We need a via medium. We need to arrive at a middle path. What is that middle path that you would
I'll tell you. Our critique is that these policies are only helping the rich becoming richer and the poor becoming poorer. Number two, our critique is these policies do not enlarge your avenues for economic growth, which means growth through population, growth through employment generation, growth through demand expansion. Now, both of these require that the purchasing power in the hands of the people has to rise.
Yeah.
And you know it as well as I do, and the whole world knows it. Global economy in the crisis that it is. Global trade has shrunk very sharply. Indian exports have fallen very drastically. It will take a long time for us to recover. And the only avenue for us to grow is your domestic market.
Yeah.
Now, your domestic market depends entirely on the domestic demand. Now, domestic demand is shrinking. Now, today, you just look at the price of dal. Dal roti, that's our country. I mean, you look at what is happening. What is the amount of disposable income that the people will have to buy anything? Why is the index of industrial production fallen to 2.6 this month from 6 point something? Why is manufacturing fallen to less than 3% from near 6? There is no purchasing capacity in the hands of the people. Now, how do you increase it? We are saying, instead of all this tax foregone, even if you collect 1/2, the rest of it may be in litigation, even if you collect 1/2, use that for your public investments. Build our infrastructure.
But
and remember,
they're doing that. I mean,
no, they're not. Please, one second. Just remember, small but very important caveat. No country in the world, from the US of A to the People's Republic of China, socialism, capitalism, whatever it is, has developed its infrastructure without the state being the principal player.
Agreed.
Principal player.
Agreed.
What India requires is an Indian New Deal.
What is this Indian New Deal, sir? Because there are also constraints on how much the government can spend at this point in time. They have allocated more capital to roads, highways, railways, and so on and so forth in this budget. And I agree with you that at this point in time, given the precarious nature of private sector balance sheets, the onus is on the state to actually up spending on infrastructure projects. But it has constraints.
I'll tell you how. I'll tell you how. You see, the New Deal means a massive expansion of public investment. Nothing in the USA, including the roadways to telecommunications, etc. Nothing was ever possible without that massive investment of the state in the period of the New Deal. Now, where do you get the resources for that? What the government is doing, maybe tinkering with the figures. You know, and another 1,000 crore here, and another 5,000 crore, here. But that is not, you require a big vision and a big leap. Now, where do you get that resources from? And that is where I said, stop all these exemptions. Finally, the government has announced. Let us see how it comes into practice. The resources that you earn, instead of that, what is the Swachh Bharat Tax? Why should you and I pay for those advertisements of the Prime Minister?
Is this something that you intend bringing up in Parliament?
Of course I will. I mean, with the sense, the state governments are primarily responsible for sanitation, cleanliness. The cess is collected and the central government takes it. Is it a pre-budget exercise? Are you going to, powder your face of fiscal deficit by putting these burdens on the people?